Hi there. So I noticed I've picked up quite a few subscribers in the past month. Like I only had 200, now I have 300. So it's kind of a lot. But so I wanted to go through a couple of concepts that I have spoken about here likely before, but I just wanted to kind of touch on them. Just now, and then, anything that I share, I am not trying to push on anybody else. I am not trying to say, oh, you have to believe this or anything. These are just, this is simply my truth that I've come to. And, I was a Christian for 20 years. I've succumbed to my fair share of programming, but I had, I guess, what I would deem a spiritual awakening a few years ago. And I mean, it came from nowhere other than inside myself. And it was, just kind of profound. And it just started this ball rolling. And then I had the awakening to the false reality that we live in. I feel that there are two different types of awakenings. One is the spiritual awakening where you realize how powerful we truly are, and that we are the ones creating our reality with our thoughts. Like we are God, for lack of a better term. We are creation experiencing itself, the consciousness experiencing itself. But then we get into the fact that this is some kind of a false reality, and this is not real reality, and everything here is a lie, and this is most likely some kind of a prison reality. And that's why we're fed so much distraction. I mean, human body's made of cells, prisoners go in a cell. This is a prison for our spirit. And that's what I kind of want to talk about, is the spirit within the body. So I do divination, which is pendulum dowsing and tarot reading. Specifically, that's the types I do. There's all kinds of different divination. But I recently started, in the past couple of years, started asking truth-related questions too. And I consistently get the same answers. And anything that's verifiable, I mean, it's right. So I go with a lot of them. And I've consistently gotten the reading that in human bodies, there are roughly a third, around 32 to 33%, are what I will call divine souls. Now, these are the people that have a heart-centered consciousness. They are the people that are empathetic, have feelings. These are true humans. And that is the collective consciousness. That 33% right there is the collective consciousness that actually makes the decisions here. And that 33% is also what powers this reality. It is our life force energy that powers this reality. Now, 50% approximately are empty vessels or organic portals. They are essentially human bodies, but the spark inside, the soul inside them is not divine and it is not pure awareness. It is instead run by the demiurge, which is source itself. Now, source is not our supreme creator, okay? Source created physical reality, and another name for source is Yaldabaoth, the demiurge, Yahweh, lots of different names, Elohim, but it all boils back to the same thing. It is what created physical reality and may not be a benevolent energy, could be of malevolent intent, may be neutral. Regardless, was not may have created physical reality, but was not the creator of awareness or consciousness itself. That is higher. And that is the supreme creator. Okay. The creator of all that is, including potentially consciousness. It's also the creator of source, or the demiurge. Okay. Now, and there could be other layers in there, but there was another story that if you see my last You see my last videos on intuitive messages, I get that the one that I was calling the lesser is source, or the demiurge. Okay, so the human body, and 10 to 20% are shapeshifters, being sea creatures, amphibious, or reptilian shapeshifters. And yes, they exist. I've seen two. Okay. Human body is a machine. Now, we need to remember that. I mean, there's a lot that the human body does on its own. It breathes. The blood runs through it. It's millions of systems running by itself. So it is a very intricate machine that is run by an artificial intelligence. The brainstem or what. It is run essentially. The brainstem is reptilian. It's essentially run by an artificial intelligence, a hive mind sort of thing. This is a biological, technological, holographic reality. And so we've got a mixture of divine and we've got a mixture of technology and biology, okay? Human body is a prime example of that. And the human body was created, Genesis, genetics. It is the story of how our genetics were manipulated. We used to be, much better and, downgraded a lot. But but our true being is not the body. Our true being is spirit, is pure energy, okay? And astral travel, if you've ever astral traveled, that will show you that. All of a sudden, your body's down there. It's like, oh, I'm not this body. I'm something else. I've always just kind of felt like, I don't know, like a force, like an all-seeing thing. It's kind of weird. But okay, so I feel that dream time allows us to travel to other realms so that we don't go nuts. Now, a lot of us, though, our dream time has been intercepted and we're not actually getting to go to other dimensions, but instead we're being put in false realities even during our dreams. I think I've got that issue going on recently. But anyways, sleep also helps regenerate this body and it reduces the energy drain on the system itself, on the realm. Now, the divine souls. Now, all bodies have a soul. All human bodies have a soul, okay? But the soul is the vehicle or the technology that our spirit, our actual body, is trapped into. It's the spirit that we are, not the soul. So, the soul is technology. So let's say there was like a reality that was just let's call it the whole space, and there was no physical reality here, and it was all pure awareness. Well, then somehow a physical reality was born, and it began to siphon some of the pure awareness out of this place into here to power it, okay? Whether or not there's a constant stream of pure awareness, or whether or not it just steals some periodically, or what, or whether it just got to steal so much one time and then that's all it has and it has to work on that, likely. And that's why the system is reset over and over and over again when it gets too big. Because see, these organic portals, they are actually run by the demiurge. So they're not powering the system. They're draining the system. These are like energy vampires and things like that feed off of us. Our life force energy is what's powering this system. And it's a big system. But every so often when it gets so big, see, it has to reset. And I definitely had the message in 2015 that we are in the middle of a reset. Or that it's time to reset the game again. So we are now in the middle of a reset. 2025, it should be complete. Now, I don't know what all that involves. Okay, so now so there was a physical form created. So when our awareness was sucked into this physical reality, see, there was no form here. But in physical reality, there has to be a form created. So we became like a light body. And also there is duality in physical reality. So we also split into male and female, okay? Like inside ourselves. Like there's a split inside ourselves. That's why we always feel like we're, missing our other half. And so it's really reconciling those two energies between. And then you realize you were whole. Okay, but so But like they really, and I don't know if there's a program put on us in between lives, likely so, to sever those again or something. I mean that, yeah. So the physical form, so when we come in, we become like a light body. Well, then that light body is what is actually trapped into the soul. And then the soul is placed into one of the dimensions. Now, there are lots of dimensions. I get that there are 12 or 13, but each dimension has multiple realms in it. Now, I've seen the dimensions, like I've seen visions of things as like a level system. I've seen things as a multiple level system. It's hard to explain. I do feel they're kind of stacked on top of one another, as in it's all frequency. So the higher, like, okay, we're in 3D. And so that means we're very dense matter. That means there's a lot of matter, that's why it appears solid, because everything's very dense here. And then as it gets higher, there's less matter, so it's less dense. And so as you get into higher dimensions, I mean, it's almost like that's why like an orb or something would be see-through. I mean, but in order to make an image in this reality, it has to have some kind of a concrete physical existence, okay? An image originally meant concrete physical existence. So an orb, like, whereas it doesn't seem like an orb that we see, it doesn't seem like it's a physical existence. It actually is, because it creates an image here. But that orb might be the literal physical existence. Yeah. Okay. So it's the density of matter that changes the higher the dimension due to this physical existence. Okay, so higher dimensions is nicer, okay? So let's say you are an orb. Now, there may be, like, you can zoom around and do all this, and you can probably communicate with other orbs telepathically and all that. I mean, it's beneficial compared to being a human and being in this very dense body and having to literally get in a car and travel from space to space instead of like zoom. Okay, so, but 3D is supposedly the best way to wake up. And our mission is to shut down the system, not to, it's to exit the matrix and shut down the AI in physical reality. Possibly shut down all of physical reality, but I don't know. But instead, what's getting done, like light workers, for example, okay. It's a realm of duality, okay? So the dark runs for a while and then the light runs for a while, okay? The poles shift. There's a pole shift coming. It's going from dark to light. It's going from, so these light workers, instead of doing their mission and getting out of the matrix, they got sidebarred, and they are bringing in the light for the matrix instead of actually working against it. And then there are, so we're getting late in the game, we are missing people in certain groups: homeless, addicts, mentally ill, people that have been dubbed that, disabled. Those are divine souls normally. But anybody, still in active addiction, they're not on this spiritual path. You'd be amazed how many of them, after they get out of addiction and get help, how many of them end up on this path if they can get past the dogma. And the AA and NA is a program, okay? It's very helpful, but it is a program. We got to keep that in mind. And dogma takes us away from our true spiritual path. Any mainstream movement eventually ends up with a nefarious agenda behind it. It may not start that way. It may start innocent, but once it takes hold, that's what happens. Because the whole intent of this system is to keep us from figuring out that we're imprisoned here and that we're the ones that are more powerful than this system, but we have to remember our power and say no. Okay. And so, all right, so we're cycled through the dimensions. So, like, there's all this talk of ascension, of people waking up, and I figure they will be allowed to ascend because 5D is better, and so they'll be able to keep them in this prison versus let's get out. The reincarnation system. Okay, we are under a reincarnation system as long as we're here. Or are you reincarnated into the exact same life or into the exact same dimension and all that every time? I have no idea. I doubt it. I suspect you'll be moved wherever they feel that your soul is least likely to realize it's a prison. I mean, like, for example, someone like me or some of us that have come in here, if we go through the tunnel of light, we may get offered this time to go back to the 9th dimension or wherever it was we came from, you know, to keep us, and then, yeah. But, okay, so when you die, a tunnel of light appears. The tunnel of light, I don't know, the moon may actually be something that watches for souls to die. The sun may be something that watches for souls to die. I'm not certain. But regardless, some people that I've heard that I trust that have had some near-death experiences, and my dad being one of them too, told me about a couple of things. And the one guy, he had a near-death experience and he knew to get away from the tunnel of light, and so he did, and he physically turned away from it, and he ended up actually being spit out in a pyramid, and then Egyptian sun discs, actually, which are eagles, came and like started chasing him, and then he, I think, woke up. But my dad went through the tunnel, and he was met by a being of light, love and light, who he believed to be Jesus. He was judged, he was shown in a 360 room his entire life, and he was told, he basically judged himself, but he was told, you know, you need to go back and rectify this and rectify that and all that stuff. They must do it in a way that you consent to it, okay? We are the sovereign beings. We are the ones with the power. So he came back to tell me that, you know, he was being reincarnated and that he would never get to see me again and all this. Now, it is my comprehension that those who want to are allowed to stay back in the astrals for up to 100 years to watch their family. And, you know, the ones that are, because they're all of it, and that's how the discarnate spirits and things like that, they've made a deal. They'll be here so long, and then they'll be reincarnated as well. It is also my comprehension that there is a line of spirits waiting to get in here. And, you know, there's a lot of people that I've seen in my life that are like, oh, I don't want to have kids because I don't want to bring kids into this world. Well, these souls signed up for this. That's the thing. We were shown our entire life ahead of time and what could or what may or may not happen. I mean, all of the potentials. Whether or not we got to pick from everybody in the world or whether we were just shown so many things, I don't know. But we definitely picked our life ahead of time. And we picked our parents and we picked our families. And I know I picked this family to heal some ancestral wounds. And I have. But so my comprehension is when you die, you go to the void. If you get away from the tunnel of light, you go to the void. You wait for your internal light to appear. Also, if you, for some reason, find yourself in physical reality or up over Earth, when you exit the tunnel of light, you would go through the North Pole vortex. Okay, and so those are my basics here. It's pretty basic, huh? Maybe kind of deep, but basic. But I really, you know, when people are like, oh, well, you don't follow religion, so you're an atheist. That's like so far from the truth, okay? But God absolutely is not our supreme creator. And if you read your Bible close enough, he says that. He admits he is not one of the Most High. He is not the top Elohim. Y'all have a good day.